Thank you for being here and allowing me also to present today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Maritsa Inglessis. My business is IM HR Consulting Limited. And in a nutshell, I help start up and scale up employers of up to 50 people who are wanting to grow their business to ultimately stop their best employees from leaving unnecessarily. What I wanted to share with you today is what you would need if you are looking to employ people, and if you just know that you need some HR stuff in place but you don't know where to start. Please do ask questions along the way. I'll be happy to answer those. So, as I say, you may be thinking about hiring a team. You may have already hired a team and you might need some HR stuff in place, but haven't got a clue where to start. Or you might also be curious to know what you need to do. So I'm going to share with you the top 5 things that I recommend and work with my clients to implement in their business. So it's not going to be a death by PowerPoint. I've tried to keep it as very, very succinct. So first up, I always recommend that you have a solid recruitment process in place. And we talked a little bit about this in our breakout room, but the main error I see happening in smaller businesses or in those startups and scale-ups that don't have anything in place is that the recruitment process just changes depending on the day, let alone the role itself and the urgency as well. So there's no clear method of assessing, but bigger than that, there's no real process from start to finish that everyone follows. And so what happens is that it's a bit of a pick and mix, and sometimes things get missed. And that what happens then is that somebody joins that business and about 2 or 3 months later, there's it's not quite working out. Well, it's no surprise if there was no recruitment process in place. So what I say with recruitment process, it doesn't need to be something that's all the bells and whistles. It doesn't need to be complicated. There just needs to be something in place that helps you to articulate what you're looking for, to then assess for that need, and then to bring that person on board so that you're setting them up for success. So the things that I recommend are getting a job description in place, so listing the responsibilities of the role, the experience, the skills that you need, as well as what good or what done looks like in that job. What does success mean? Next up is understanding how you're going to assess those applicants. So what are the must-haves in terms of experience and knowledge, but also in terms of behavior. Behavior is the thing that's much harder to teach someone how to do well. If you compare it to, say, a technical skill of somebody learning how to do pivot tables on Excel, for example. I always therefore recommend either competency or behavioural interview questions, as well as some other techniques like technical questions and testing, to allow you to really assess the candidates that you're seeing, and then also to be able to compare apples with apples rather than, not having some consistency in your process. Next up, one thing, sorry, before I move on, remember that as with many things in life, the recruitment process will never 100% remove the risk of someone not working out. But what you are trying to do is to minimize and mitigate that risk by having some structure in place to help you and the individual have the best chance of it being a success. Number 2 is onboarding. So this is the bit that happens after the offer is accepted. Your new people will be excited and you want to keep that going by keeping them engaged. Where I see this going wrong is that there is a black hole. After the offer is accepted, nothing happens until maybe the day before somebody starts, where the business is frantically trying to get their kit to them or trying to get their login sorted or things like that. And it just really sends out a shitty message of like, actually, we forgot about you. We weren't, we didn't, remember in time that you were joining us. And so we don't really have our stuff together. And, so it's not a great, experience for that employee, and it means that you're scrambling around trying to get everything done. So the best way to do this again is to plan and have and help people understand what it looks like. So from the minute that they've signed their offer letter and their contracts, which, by the way, please don't get ChatGPT to create an employment contract. I've seen that happening. It does not work. ChatGPT makes mistakes. But yeah, so help people understand what it looks like between when they've signed their contract and their first few weeks after their first day. Share maybe a calendar view of what they'll be doing, who they'll be meeting, who they need to meet with, so that they know that you've got it in hand and it's all done for them. Make it exciting. Don't forget that you need to cater for people with different learning styles. So handing somebody a folder and saying, have a read through of this 200-page document is not engaging, it's not exciting, and it's highly likely that a lot of it will be forgotten. So remember that what might work well for one person may not work well for another, especially if there are specific learning needs, for example. Next up is ways of working. So this really talks to the processes that you have in place. I've just spoken about recruitment and onboarding as two processes, but then there's all the other stuff that happens when actually the person has joined and it's just business as usual. And also this means policies. Now, this is, I know, where we get the fun police label, us in HR. You might be thinking that policies are too formal. And to a certain extent, I'd agree with you. But the thing is that they don't need to be full of legal speak and formality. They can be worded in a way that's approaching things from a just in case rather than a do this or else mindset. And in terms of ways of working, this is really around making sure that the experience that the employee has, so from the minute that they join your business all the way through to when they leave, is something that's fairly transparent, that is of service to them, that is supportive, and that is dealt with in a proactive rather than reactive way. You may think this all sounds really pink and fluffy for the employee and all really nice. What being proactive actually does is it saves you time, it saves you money, and it saves you the effort and stress, actually, because what you end up doing, if you're preempting and you're meeting people's needs, people's questions, you're spending less time doing that than you are when things go a bit wrong and you have to have, say, a disciplinary meeting or make several redundancies because you didn't plan your staffing levels, for example. So I always work with my clients to move away from reacting to people issues to being proactive, because actually it means that you're front loading all of the effort. You've got something that's repeatable, it works, and you don't need to then waste all that time and effort to fix it when it goes wrong. Next up, we talked a little bit about this in our breakout room, just around communication. But one of the key things that I work with my clients on is around getting either the group of people managers on a level playing field, or identifying who from that particular business can take on the day-to-day management of people. The reason why I do this is because a huge chunk of how engaged employees are is down to how good a manager they have. Now, you will have all have heard the whole people don't leave a company, they leave a manager. That's 100% accurate. 70% of how engaged a team is directly related to how they are managed. And so successful people managers are able to create those conditions that encourage more engaged employees with the relationships that they establish. The other thing is that I've been in HR now for over 20 years, and I can probably say that confidently only 2 businesses actually had some structured training for people managers. So what you see in the industry, in workplaces, is that there are people who have been promoted on technical skill, but actually don't know how to lead and manage a team very well. And so what happens in smaller businesses is that you get people doing things differently. And so everyone has an inconsistent experience. And that can lead to people not feeling happy, to things being missed, or to also things being people feeling that they are being treated differently, perhaps discriminated, all of those things. So it's important basically that whoever in your business is responsible for managing people receives some training on how to be a successful people manager. And then finally, point number 5 is around HR system. Now, again, some people think this is a bit sledgehammer to crack a walnut. However, there's a couple of reasons why I highly recommend getting this in place. Because if you don't have visibility of your people data, or if it's in an Excel spreadsheet on the office administrator's laptop or somewhere else, or, they normally send it to you when you need it, but they're off sick at the moment, the last copy might be a couple of months old. It's not been kept up to date, because managing your people data through an Excel spreadsheet is so cumbersome. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is that it's actually not GDPR compliant if you are doing that. So a good HR system will allow you to track the important stuff safely, methodically, and will allow you the ability to access it when you need it, wherever you are. It makes things much easier for you, and this is especially important if your business is growing. You can streamline some of the processes and your employee journeys, which again talks back to the ways of working, looks slicker. It all happens automatically, so nobody's having to click buttons and do things. Your system can take care of it for you. And so that means that some of the time-consuming day-to-day tasks, such as holiday requests, updating employee information, reporting, all of that stuff, it can happen automatically, or it can happen at the click of a button. A good example is payroll. Really boring, really dull. Most systems allow you to give access to somebody who processes your payroll so they can just pull the reports off themselves. It means that you're not having to email employee data to your payroll provider. All of that duplication and extra effort, it's just not needed. So it ends up saving you time as well. And most importantly, you know that your people data is secure, but also that you're GDPR compliant as well. So I don't know how much time I've got. I think I've run through that very, very quickly, but I was really conscious of giving everyone a good overview. These are my 5 top things that I recommend. But yeah, have you got any questions at all? Any thoughts, any comments?